to you, but also we have to remember that this month has been a very lovely month where cricket legends are concerned. I mean, cricket greats are concerned. We have MS Dhoni as well. It was his birthday the other day. So was Saurav Ganguly, the two captains who have really changed the life of Indian cricket. And then you have our own Sanjay Manjrekar. His birthday is still to come, from the great illustrious Manjrekar family. But we are here today because of Sunil Gavaskar. He's our legend and we have recognized him for that. There's very little we can say about it. I'll give you all the stories about him. He's one of the guys who is so systematic. We live in the same building, by the way, and we fight quite a bit. He's very systematic in whatever he does. He's about 20 steps ahead of most of us. His thinking process is everything. So I remember when we toured in '79, we toured England for the World Cup as well as for the series there. And he had everything planned as to the bowler he wanted to play, where he wanted to concentrate, on which bowler he wanted to concentrate, which ground he wanted to concentrate. And he looked at me and he said, "Sunny, have you put your plan in action?" I said, "What plan? I don't even know whether I'm going to play." So I said, "I can only plan if I know where I am." And he said, "No, you should always look ahead and always think and always plan." And that's why he did so well in life. And he does that all throughout, whether it's his commentary or anywhere else. I think he's one of the best after-dinner speakers you can ever have. He's got such a fantastic sense of humor. And he can imitate anyone. And that's why to have him as a room partner was great, because he would imitate a Botham, he would imitate anyone, including the Indian team actually. And Bishan was his target, so it was quite a lot of fun. And maybe he was doing that about me as well, but never in front of me. And the thing about him was that was one thing about his systems in place. The other thing was that when you talk about immaculate thinking as such, even where the toothpaste was concerned, he was so careful about the way when you have a toothpaste, and in those days the cricketers didn't get so much money, so we shared things like toothpaste and morning tea as well. Exactly like all you badminton players as well. That's finished. And so that whenever I used to fight with him over something, he would always, for the small thing like a toothpaste, he would always go from bottom to up. And he wanted it in that fashion. And I would go and press it right in the middle, to get him more angry as such. And that was, he was so straight, so systematic in everything he did. I remember two incidents. One at Lord's itself, he wanted to get 100 and he was batting extremely well. India, he was on 45 and he got out to Gooch. Just terrible, because after he got out, India got out for 96 runs. But he was so angry because he had made up his mind that he's going to get 100. And that was him. Because he got out to Gooch, he came and he put his towel around him and he cried. And I've seen him cry because he was so adamant that he wanted to do that. And I said, "Why were you so, concerned about all that?" He said, "No, because when they asked me, how was it that I got how do you feel getting 100 at Lord's? And I was going to say, as good as what I used to do in Bombay Maidans as such. There's no difference between the two." So he had got that, what he was going to sort of talk to people as well and reply. And that was him. That's Sunil Gavaskar. There'll be two, before I hand it over to Jairaj, I'll give you two lovely incidents about why Gavaskar hated Lord's. Now he loves it because he got that 199 or 1, whatever he got there. And finally he got 100 in that some centenary match. Yeah. And the first time was, and I could understand why, because we were going to play the test match and our bus was just coming in, and he had promised his friends passes. So he saw his friends near the gate. So he said, waved to them and said, I'll just come to give you the passes. So we all naturally were there, and we went from the bus, we went into the dressing room, this, that, and suddenly there was a desperate call. And I said, they're calling you at the gate. So I said, what is it? No, Mr. Gavaskar wants to speak to you at the gate. So I went, I said, what's happened, Sunil? I thought something had happened. So the gatekeeper, what had happened was, refused to let him in. He gave the passes to his friend who came in, and then he naturally tried to come in with his chappals on. And the chap refused. So then I went there and I said, Sunil, I said, this is Mr. Gavaskar, he's going to be opening for us, he needs to come in. They said, no, till he doesn't give us the ticket or a pass, we are not going to let him in. And he had forgotten his pass, naturally. And so I had to ring up the secretary of the club. He came, and then finally we made that chap understand. Although people were taking his autograph, he knew exactly, the British guy knew exactly who he was, but he harassed him right there at the gate. So I remember, that's when I thought he must have thought about this 100 and what to say. And the other incident was, we were playing MCC. Unfortunately, we were going to have Karsan Gavri here today, and he's got food poison and he can't be here with us, unfortunately. Although it's a good day for him because his daughter has just given birth to his grandson or granddaughter, I don't know, whoever, but okay. So we were playing MCC, and Karsan was bowling, I remember, and Dickie Bird was the umpire. And to make fun at Lord's, what Sunil had done, had got a mask. One of those ugly masks that you go and get. And he, at second slip he was sitting, he wore the mask. And to make fun of the whole incident around there. So Dickie Bird told him, Mr. Gavaskar, you're disturbing the batsman. So he said, I'm in slips with this mask, in which rule says that I'm not allowed to wear a mask. I can wear a mask. So he said, no, you're disturbing everybody. He said, but I'm not disturbing anyone. The batsman has to concentrate on that side. But he said, no, you're disturbing me. And that was Sunil, and I remember the other day we had met Amitabh Bachchan. And I told Amitabh Bachchan, I said, we always have this problem between us because he's called Sunny, and so am I called Sunny. And we are trying to get who's Sunny, basically. And this fight has been there for a long, long time. And I've always told him that you were Sunny because because the English couldn't call you Sunil, so they call you Sunny. Whereas I've been Sunny from birth because my name Yajurvendra is to do with the sun god and with the Yajurvedas there. So I said I've got much more of this thing of something where Sunny is concerned. So we had Amitabh Bachchan the other day, and we decided learned Mr. Bachchan would be the right chap to approach. Unfortunately, the approaching was Sunil's annual party, naturally, and he was there for that. And we said, this is our issue, and we need to find out who's once and for all, settle this case, because he's O and I'm U, that way. And as usual, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan was very smart. He didn't make any decision. Although I told him I watched him bowl left arm spin in our benefit match and this and that. I tried everything, but Sunil had it on into it because naturally it was his party. But I told Amitabh one thing. I said, you are very fortunate that Sunil didn't take up acting, although he did one movie. I said, because this chap can imitate, I mean, he must definitely imitate you, but he can imitate anyone from anywhere in the world. And I said, if he had taken up acting, you would have played cricket. That was the difference. Anyway, this is a few anecdotes on Sunil Gavaskar. And I'd like him and Kenkre to introduce Jairaj. And the only thing I know about Jairaj is gully. He finishes with, I said, white gully or fine gully, but he said gully gully. I gather, an IT guy. I had to quickly tell him that I was also an IT guy for 15 years with TCS. But he's actually an IT guy. I was more spending the money which the IT guys were making, and that was the difference between, because I was doing the marketing and the events, which were and the sponsorships, which were the good parts of an IT company, by the way. No sort of working like him. And he's done so many. I leave the introduction part of it to Hemant because otherwise he is not going to like me at all.
A lot of people don't realize the value of archives, and especially cricket lovers like us, or for want of a better word, cricket romantics like us. When we sort of go onto YouTube and that he got into doing this, why, is something which he will talk about, and that is a very interesting topic. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? So the rest of the week I'm busy working as a technologist at Oracle. Prior to that I worked for ISR. The story of the context is there are millions of viewers on my channel and several more millions who are watching footage, clippings which have been stolen from my channel. And now I have been thinking, I think I should let people know what there is a story. It's the origin story. I was not at Wankhede Stadium, nor Eden Gardens, nor Firozshah Kotla. I was, in fact, the genesis, how I got to the archives, it began on a particular day at a cancer research, it's a cancer center in San Francisco, where now she's okay, I'm talking about it in public. My wife was diagnosed, and the doctor looked into her eyes and said that you have a very rare, uncommon, aggressive type of blood cancer. And care and so forth, but I was becoming sawdust from within. The worries of what might happen tomorrow, it was not easy to deal with. I would wake up in the middle of the night and my mind was going all over. Then at that point, something very weird, something very strange happened. You know, the mind is a monkey. You are either worrying about the future or you are reflecting upon the past. So at one particular moment, in a desperate attempt to extricate myself from the worries of tomorrow, I thought, why don't I turn back? So I took a 180-degree turn towards my past. I went back on the timeline to becoming a version of myself much younger than who I was, far, far removed from the present-day crisis. And I met my inner child. Inner child is a phenomenon where people who have gone through, typically it's associated with trauma, pain, suffering. But in my case, the inner child was a happy kid. He was a happy kid because he loved cricket. He loved cricket. He loved movies. And when I met him, I just wanted to be with him. I wanted to look at the adult me, look at the inner child. He's saying, hey, come. And he is all excited. He's showing me how Guddappa plays his square cut. He's showing me that, he's telling me that, did you know Chandra has 10 steps for his run-up? I said, wow, Then he said, can we watch a movie? So we went to this is all in the mind. We went to our grandfather's house, and back in those days, as many of you can relate, you could watch a movie only in a theater. There was no YouTube, there was nothing. So, guess which one did you watch? Here it is. Well, yes, I have to show this. This is bear with me for 30 seconds. This is the classic Sholay beginning scene. Before even we could get to the movie, as many of you can relate, can you hear? I think the sound is. I think that
India Open with Gavaskar and Chauhan. Sunil Gavaskar overtakes Gary Sobers in making the highest aggregate in tests between the two countries. He hits up 120, his 19th test century. Sarkar makes 109, his second test century against the visitors. The find of the series, Kapil Dev, electrified the stand. Sayed Kirmani scores a useful 30. And Kapil Dev reaches his maiden test century with a sixer. India declared at 566 for 8 wickets.
all right. So I browsed through scores and scores of the government websites. Eventually, I bumped upon a PDF document with Philips Division's website, which contained the listings of every newsreel which was produced, which is totaling to something like 25,000 newsreels up until that time. And the challenge was I need to browse through that and then get to such of those newsreels which had any mention of cricket. So I, being a database guy, I had to write a query. Eventually distilled it down to about 200 newsreels. So I got the newsreel number on one side, and the other side, I kind of knew what that newsreel contained. I contacted the Philips Division folks. There was no easy way. I wouldn't leave them in the morning, 3 a.m., when the worries of rare and aggressive cancer, and that was like biting me like scorpion. In order to escape from that thing, I would incessantly call the Philips Division to the extent that they had blocked my number. And I would call them from another number. Eventually, I found out the guy in the sales department who turned out to be understanding and considerate. And long story short, I paid the money. And one day, a DHL box was couriered to my home in Los Altos in California. It contained about 200 DVDs. I opened it, and lo and behold, it had the collection of every cricket match that was ever filmed from the 1940s up until 1983. And then, wow, what did it not contain? The first ever test match of India, not only India winning Sri Lanka's first ever test match victory, Pakistan's first ever test match victory, the debut matches of Vishwanath, Chandra, and also Richards and Clive Lloyd, their debut matches, and the Golden Jubilee match between India and England. So many of them. And I was like, oh my God, this box contains so many, such a rich archives. I took the box into the puja room and teared up. Teared up because amongst the millions of you, millions of fans all around the world, it had to be me. It had to be me. Why did it have to come to me? And also teared up because the bizarre circumstances which led me to the archives. What did I do next? I uploaded a couple of those just to share with some friends like you. 1 year later, I discovered there were like 1 million hits. I said, oh my God, what's going on here? And a friend made a gentle suggestion, hey man, don't just say something about it. Why, you don't upload it just like that. That's when I started learning about Indian cricket history. I ordered every possible book, Mihir Bose, and this guy, Edward Docker, and even our Guha. All of the books I ordered. I started reading biographies of the legends. And many of the footages did not have soundtrack. And Vijay Lokali from Hindu said, hey, tum lagao yaar. I have not touched a booklet. Then many of the footages, they did not have soundtrack. I didn't know what to talk about. So I went to Stanford University Library. Stanford University happens, they have collection of entire Times of India from 1800s up until date. Digital collection. You can give a query, date, and it will give you the paper cuttings. Talking about stock market and startup. I would spend my weekends going to the Stanford Library, sitting there for hours together and making notes, scripting and narration apropos of the footage, and adding sound effect because it's silent. Silent as like a tombstone. I had to fit in sound stadium effects. I had to fit in applause. I had to fit in the crack of the willow of the leather at the right moment. You know, I have to say, oh my God, here, wait, otherwise it's too late. And the volume has to be just right. If he's giving a catch in the slip, or otherwise if he's hitting a sixer, the volume has to be appropriately adjusted. Then I have to learn and I have to give an elevator pitch. What is this about? And I knew that I cannot, people have come to watch the footage, not to listen to me. A lot of the corporate training helped. So that was the toil involved with this, producing my YouTube uploads. And I realized I set out to do something. This was more like, for me, it was to cope up with family trauma, health crisis. It turned out to be a preservation of the digital memory of a wonderful cricketing history. So, my dear folks, I invite you to the collection that I'm going to show you. And someone said, don't show all the cliches of 1971. I said, yes, sir, I'm very aware of that. I will walk you through some of the amazing collection. And to the extent possible, 99%, every one of those, whatever you're going to watch, are my discoveries. Barring some one or two exceptions, which I had to include because for the sake of completeness. So there we go. Now the problem was which one do I select? I had to really struggle because there are over 100 uploads. Now I need to carefully pick and choose from. Yes, Vincent.
Sorry to interrupt. You should tell them about the problems you had.
Oh yes.
With the films division and how you overcame.
Oh yes, thanks for pointing out.
Big stumbling block.
So okay, I'll keep it short because that will be another TED talk. So the thing is, within months when I started uploading, I got a copyright violation. They struck down my channel saying that you're violating the copyright. There was a Government of India versus Jairaj Galgali in progress. I procured the footage very much from the Government of India Film Division, procured it, paying money, no bribe, and I was furthering their cause of disseminating of distributing, of educating the people. It's a non-profit. I was not making any money, and they struck down my channel. What do? I don't know. Then someone said, hey, go talk to Shashi Tharoor. I said, Shashi Tharoor doesn't know me. How am I going to do that? So I carefully drafted an email because both of us are, he was a PG Woodhouse fan. And long story short, he came to my rescue. He said, within 8 hours he replied saying that, I'm very proud of the work you're doing. Here's my plan. He wrote down a 3-point, and for 3 months he persevered, Shashi Tharoor. At the end of around that time, my channel got restored. I also want to thank Mr. Sunil Gavaskar for the very first, the quote that he gave around the same time that it's actually, he's talking about my channel, Sunil Gavaskar, and it coincided with Shashi Tharoor's efforts, and because of that, my channel was released. That's the story of it. Thanks for asking. So now, I'll walk you through some of the significant moments. I'm going to take Hemant's help for certain things. He's more competent, he's more qualified to talk about it as opposed to me. Here we go. Okay, now the one I'm going to show next is something very interesting. I have not uploaded it here. How was cricket played 150 years ago? Actually, this film is from 1964. It talks about cricket 100 years ago. It was by a cricketing club known as Ballygunge Cricket Club. Anyone from Calcutta here? Yeah, I think currently it is called something Cricket and Football Club, I suppose.
CCI.
Yeah. So there was an event in 1964 commemorating the 100th year of cricket in India, and here we go.
Cricket as it was played 100 years ago. This match celebrates the centenary of the Ballygunge Cricket Club of Calcutta. The match is played according to the MCC laws of 1864. 1864 was an important year for cricket, for in that year, W.G. Grace made his first appearance in big cricket. Also in that year, overhand bowling was first authorized. In those days, gentlemen cricketers wore white shirts with pink spots, the sort of garb that would outrage even a schoolboy cricketer of today. This ground has seen many famous cricketers. Vinu Mankar once took a hat-trick here, while the Mercurial Mushtaq Ali cast his magic spell over players and spectators. Douglas Jardim, the England captain, was seen on this ground in 1934. But the most famous of all cricketers to have played here was Sir Jack Hoggs, one of the immortals of cricket. We are sure that if Sir Jack were here, he would join us in wishing Calcutta many more years of sporting cricket.
That was cricket 100 years ago. 150 overall bowling happened. You want to talk about it?
Yes, just that I said that greatest contribution to cricket doesn't come from the gentlemen, but it comes from the ladies. And the greatest contribution to cricket on the whole doesn't really come from gentlemen, as they, cricket's always been called the gentleman's game. Hopefully, still is a little bit here and there. But it came from the ladies, because it was the ladies who started or rather discovered or whatever what we call over-arm bowling, as we saw in the CCFC video, that everybody was bowling underarm, like they bowl in the gullies. But that's what I just casually mentioned to him, and lo and behold, he got something on that. So carry on, please. Yeah, sir.
Quickly, it's the brother and sister. The brother got bored, hey, come, why don't you bowl? The sister started bowling. And now, imagine this happened in England. She had difficulty because in those days, Victorian women wore these socks, these frocks, very wide, and it was coming in the way of underarm bowling. She said, to heck with this, I'm not going to do. Then she started bowling overarm. And that was the genesis of the overarm bowling. We really should be thanking the siblings over here. I don't remember their names, but that's the story. Okay, now we give tribute to the legends of Indian cricket. It began towards the end of the 19th century. Who are the legends? Let's start with Lagan and Bhuvan and Steel, alright? Then, this is an interesting story. Ranjit Singh. In 1888, I suppose, a 19-year-old man set sail to England to become a lawyer. His name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He had 4 letters of introduction. One of those was to Kumar Ranjit Singh. Back in those days, there was no LinkedIn, there was no Facebook. If you got into trouble, you had to rely on someone. So he carried 4 such letters, and one of those was to him. Whether he met Ranjit Singh or not is unknown. Probably he did. But the important fact is that he did carry one of them. But who was Ranjit Singh? He was, many of you would know who he is. I'm not going to elaborate that. Jam Sahib of Nawanagar. Back in those days, it was Kumar Ranjit Singh ji. And what was his contribution? You all know the Ranji Trophy. But from the cricket standpoint, he is the inventor of the leg lance. As suppose many of you would know about it. And the way Ranjit Singh ji, his contribution was, the Britishers, up until they saw his batting, they would look upon Indians through the perspective of servitude and subordination. But when they saw Ranjit Singh ji's batting, they said, oh my God, he brought like chicken tikka masala kind of flavor to the bland English fare. And they started beginning to see a new identity, a new extension of themselves. So we don't have any footage of Ranjit Singh ji, but what I have discovered is our Sunil Gavaskar and his buddies checking out his palace in the Nawanagar. Fear. In that context, C.K. Nayudu, he scored 153, not far from here, right? Bombay Jamkhana. And where he made 11 sixes and 13 boundaries. And the very idea of English team getting hammered, it arose in people the possibility, oh my God, now they were no longer afraid of the white foreigner, wrote one of the fans. Another guy said, sir, he wrote a letter to C.K. Nayudu, sir, every sixer you hit is a nail in the British coffin. And that was those were the kind of letters he used to get. And apparently, for some years, C.K. Nayudu had more press coverage than even Mahatma Gandhi. So some of the historians have recorded. And now, there is a clip of C.K. Nayudu, possibly the only clip of C.K. Nayudu, where he is playing in a friendly match. By then he was already in his 60s. But more importantly, what I liked was, in that clip, he is seen walking to the dinner table, and the panache with which he carries himself is simply amazing. The man, 6 foot something, got out just to play cricket. Here we go.
Among the interested spectators was Premier Ravi Shankar Shukla. Going into their second knock on the final day, the home side made a disastrous start. But C.K. Nayudu stemmed the rot, piling up 72 runs. The match, however, went in favour of the visitors. Governor Papasa congratulated members of the winning team and presented a cricket bat to C.K. Nayudu, a happy souvenir of the captain's innings. Later, the governor was unknown to the fans. The function was attended by the elite of Nayudu.
Oh well, that was C.K. Nayudu. And the next legend does not need any introduction. I gather some of you have actually met him. So I'm just going to play Actually, I discovered a 20-minute documentary from which I have extracted maybe a minute or two.
1986 will go down in history as that of Merchant and Mankind. In the very first test, Mankind completely mesmerized the Pakistani batsman. He captured 13 wickets in the match for just 71 runs. After scoring a double century in the Bombay Test against New Zealand, Mankind hammered 231 in the 5th Test at Madras and created a world record with an opening partnership of 413 with Pankaj Roy.
All right. Oh, Subhash Gupte. So much has been said about Subhash Gupte, and Prasanna, in one of his interviews, he attributes his own bowling style, his off-spin techniques. He said he picked it up from Gupte when he was watching a zonal match as a runner-up, and that's where he learnt the technique of spin bowling. He acknowledges, and he said whenever you praise him, that's Prasanna, you are praising, or you are reaching your compliments through him to Subhash Gupte. And I really worked hard to gather every footage of Subhash Gupte that was available. And Harsha Bogle said, I'll give anything to someone who can discover his footage. And anyway, it begins with his quote. Yeah, look at this. He's yet to get back to me though. Actually, it's a 10-minute. Captain is white, vice captain is white, rest of them are black. And the very first thing he says is, "Hey guys, you are in a strange country," is the comment he makes. And this is from the book by Arnab Sengupta. And it is a very surreal moment because the footage you're going to see, it happened right here, right here. Yes, sir, here we go.
When the West Indies side piled up 629 runs for 6 wickets declared in the second test with India. Here are Rayan Stolmar, the opening batsman, facing Pakistan. Everton Weeks once again delighted the crowd with a perfect century. Thousands of fans were reconciled with an inevitable innings defeat for the home team. But cricket has ever proved an unpredictable game, putting the tipsters in the wrong.
Actually, I learned that first ever test victory of India versus England, 1952, Madras. And when I discovered this, the footage was silent, just 1 minute, and I worked incredibly hard to get the context. I discovered that the players were wearing bands, black bands. I was wondering, what the heck is it? So eventually I learned after digging through the Times of India that after the first day, the King of England, King George V, he had died. And it was in March of respect. And I'm wondering, we got our freedom, and the game is happening in India. Why on earth were even the Indian players were sporting the band in order to give the respect to a king? Anyway, it's not for me to judge. And by the way, I replicated the soundtrack, which is in my voice. And the special thing is, we presented through a friend of mine the footage to the only surviving member of the Indian team, C.D. Gopinath, who lives in Madras. And that was his birthday gift. Through Vijay Lokpalli's help, I managed to reach out to him. And my friend, he presented, made him watch. And watch, I also have included the comments, the interview that I had with him, which lasted for almost 20 minutes. I'm just showing you like a couple of minutes from this particular footage. Oh yeah.
The curtain goes up on the fifth and final test match between England and India. England won the toss and opened the innings with Lawson and Spooner. Luck, please, people, please, on Banagapo, nodding cheerfully at K-Pop. Parker gave a sensational start to the match, ignoring Lawson. India has made 5 changes. Mushtaq Ali, Amarnath, Gopinath, Kivecha and Sain are on board with Azare, Lala, Roy, Mankar, Gulam and Umrigar. Roy opens the innings with Mushtaq and goes on to score a century along with Umrigar, securing a massive lead of 191 for India. Black bands around the left arms in remembrance of King George VI, who died on the first day of the match. The hero of India's bowling was Vinu Mankar, who took 12 wickets in this match. 5 of them stumped. Story of classic left-arm bowling on a good wicket. Endless variations in flight, teasing a test with the batsman, and then fatally viewing them forward. Second round from Gopinath over Mankar. And this is a historic moment, India's first ever victory in a test match. Despair, but desperately tried to avoid an innings defeat. The clock in the Chapot pavilion was striking 3 when Staten lifted Mankar to long on. All eyes were on Gopinath, the Madras player and the baby of the Indian team, fielding in the deep. Gopinath had positioned himself for the catch. But would he take it? He made no mistake and the ball was safe in his hands and it was all over. Staten was out and England had won by the handsome margin of an innings and 8 runs with more than a day to spare. The British emotions burst into a crescendo of cheering to signal India's first ever victory in a test match.
If they got a man, which is great, by and large, we lost matches, and we didn't even believe that we could beat anything.
This iconic epic test match that was the turning point in the history of Indian cricket. I must say, look at where we are now. We are today considered and ranked as the #1 cricketing nation in the world. That I was part of that winning team which created the turnaround. And to add to it, I took the last catch on the boundary line, which won the match and announced to the world that we came victorious in the first ever test match the country had won. Thank you.
And I can say India's first ever victory, it was stolen from my channel. If you notice it, the guy has stripped off the Philips Division logo and put on some lousy comment of his own. But anyway, this is the original. Oh, the context is it's just 5 years since the partition. And it's happening here, right in Bombay. That's the second test match, I guess. And people are confused. Who's playing for whom? And there is this kid, what's the Pakistan, Hanif Mohammed. Then they said, hey, एक गुजरात का लड़का है हमारा भी है, he's from Kathiawad, and the public is जनता is very confused here, right in Revolve, and that's what I read about. So here are some tidbits of the series. The first one is the very first test match where the Babu Rajendra Prasad is receiving the team. The second one is Bombay.
confident role.
Yeah, I had to. Brevity, I had to stop.
Pakistan met for the third test at Bombay.
Yeah, right here. Bravo.
The stands in the Brabourne Stadium were packed to capacity. Pakistan won the toss and sent in Nabi Mohammed and Hanif to open the innings. Amarnath and Mankar proved deadly with the ball. The only bright patch in the visitors' batting was provided by Bakar Hassan, who contributed 81 runs to Pakistan's first innings total of 186. Confident upday began India's first inning. Azarian Umriga made a grand 4-wicket stand on the seventh day. There was a scintillating display of strokes, just the thing the crowds had been looking for. The batsman frequently broke through a tight cordon of close fielding, with hectic hitting to the boundary, runs were being added quick and fast. When the score stood at 387 for 4, Amarnath boldly declared the innings closed.
All right.
India easily compiled the necessary 42.
Okay, now we move to the 60s. So what I've done is I've handpicked one or two from each decade just to showcase. There's no way I can resist it until this guy came, Tiger Patodi came. And 1960 began with something, it brought in an entirely new, different kind of energy. And in order to appreciate that, I have to show a clipping from the 1970s. There we go.
बाजी हाथ से निकलती नजर आई मगर ब्रजेश पटेल हिम्मत न हारे पटेल की 50 पूरे जानने वालों का बधाई का कैसा
Well, you know, the reason I showed this, that was not the first time anyone got kissed. This was the first time. This was the first time where Abbas Ali Bey on, I think, January 1960 or so.
This is at Brabant Stadium.
Yeah, Bravo, right here, by the way, guys. Give a big round of applause. You are sitting at the very of history where Abbas Ali Bey got kissed. And history has it that the woman came all the way down. She had taken a bet or whatever. And she planted a kiss deep and proper on his cheek and wouldn't let it go. And some thought had to pull her out. Mir Moses, I guess.
Abbas Ali got her in afterwards. That you should know.
Pardon?
Abbas Ali got her in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anything about the inn.
Then came the energy of Tiger Patodi. He said, hey, we are here to win. And he changed he was a catalyst which brought about a sea change in how the captains thought about the matches. This is 1961-62 series, the fifth test match in Madras. And Patodi comes in and says, hey, Nari, we're going to hit like this is the first time this country is ever going to see where the ball is going to hit like this. That's something along those lines. That's a comment he made. There we go. Yeah, this is it.
Final test at Madras. England, having lost the toss, takes the field. Contractor and Gaisima off to a confident start. Gaisima hooks the bouncer from knight for 6. Contractor, playing his best in the series, hits all round the wicket. The captain's knock of 86 ends. However, Patodi punishes England's bowling and scored a fine maiden century. Patodi out, caught in the deep leg for 103. Nayudu partners Engineer in India's 8-wicket record 101 runs. Engineer in a swashbuckling innings helps swell the Indian total. The Indian spinners hasten the end.
Yesterday they're all out for 209. Winning the Calcutta and Madras Test, India playing the first ever rubber against England on the eve of the West Indies tour.
Yeah, it's just only 2 months before. Yeah, this is, I'm sure all people know about it. Oh, India versus Australia. Guys, do you want to watch it or should I skip this? What's the...
No, you can.
Okay, sure.
Don't skip anything.
Okay, sure. Thanks for letting me know.
The charm of cricket consists of an aggregate of 7 seasons, which is greater than that given by any other game. That remark, made by great Indian cricketer Prince Ranjit Singh, many gathered here would hold to be true. And when India's cricketing guests are the hard-hitting Australians, well, do you wonder why the grandstands are jam-packed? Yes, cricket is many things to many people. Some can enjoy it even if they don't keep their eye on the ball. But for the connoisseur, the true lover of the game, cricket is a ritual to be relished with all the elements of a drama. A drama of bat and ball where the play is the thing and lasts for days. Well, the stage is all set for the opening day, and the venue is Madras for test number 1. You can feel the ripple of excitement in the air as the two captains, Australia's Simpson and India's Patani, spin the coin for first knock. Looks like Simpson won the toss. Here's India taking the field. Simpson again to open the glory for Australia. They put on 66 runs for the first wicket. Can you tell? For India begins badly, losing 5 good wickets for only 76 runs. But things become brighter with Borde and Tiger pass together, for they knock up 142 for the 6th wicket, and this fair lady didn't want to miss any of it. Borde caught by Simpson off Mackenzie for a robust 49, but that played the real captain's innings, which makes us all, broadly speaking, very happy indeed. Like his famous father, Patani makes a century in his maiden test appearance against Australia. Yes, ladies, it is something to listen to or talk about. Red Park goes for a duck, caught by Hanuman Singh off Nakani. And we know exactly how you feel. 20 minutes. He has seen plenty in his time, but nothing like this. Now all eyes are focused on Bombay's River Stadium.
Right here.
Same game, same drama, and nearly the same crowd. But what will the ending be this time? Australia wins the toss for the 2nd time running, but begin badly. Booth is bowled for 1 by newcomer Chandrasekhar. 3 down for 53. Trailing behind, Australia in her 2nd innings pile up 246 for 4. As Nakani has Cowper caught for 81. Then a rock sets in. Now Chandrasekhar and Nakani play fox among the chickens. Each gets 4 wickets, and the Australian innings end. Only 30 runs for victory. He doesn't want to miss a thing. Who would? Patani passes to the far from Connolly, and Bird takes a brilliant catch. You can hear the proverbial pin drop as India's captain walks back to the pavilion. Borde thumps him for a grand 4, and India wins the test, the most thrilling ever against Australia. Superb cricket, a sporting dream come true. India's next victory from out of Australia's confident grasp. Seems now the better man will have his say.
The sky cloud over, rain in the offing, the light grows dim. The rhyming spine should have stayed there. It never rains but it pours in cricket. The faithful followers of the game brave the elements, although the view is enough to dampen any fair outlook. Cheer up, my boy. You're young enough to witness many more test matches.
Well, the Bombay Test victory was so thrilling that it was happened to be Vijayadashmi Day and people had got in the clip, and I would like Hemant to say a few words about his cousin Sunil.
Is on a 10-day rigorous practice before leaving for the West Indies.
I'm really happy and honored to lead the Indian team on this forthcoming tour to West Indies. I'm also very grateful to the national selectors for giving me the team which I wanted. I had got 3 opening batsmen in Ashok Mankad, Sunil Gavaskar and Jantilal. Middle order batsmen Jessima, Vishwanath and Satyasai. Then I got very good all-rounders in Salim Durrani, Eknath Sorkar and Abid Ali. Then we have got spin attack in Prasanna and Bedi. These two will be supported in spin attack by Venkatragon, my deputy. Then I got 2 very good wicketkeepers in Krishnamurti and Jijibai. There's only 1 medium fast bowler, Govindraj.
With manager K.K. Darapur, they are off to Jamaica from Bombay via London and New York. The Bombay Cricket Association hosted a rousing reception to Ajit Warikar and his team. The thunders applause to the man of the moment, the 21-year-old Gavaskar, for his sterling debut.
Hemant.
Being part of the family as in Sunil's cousin that I am, and I was very fortunate that I actually was there when that entire thing was shot, the entire practice session, because I was insisting on him taking me for autographs. And the best part was that, the kind of, the euphoria and everything. And also very fortunate to, go to the airport to see him off. And when he came back in the middle of the night, if I remember correctly, they landed in a jumbo, probably the first Air India jumbo at that time. And it was just amazing, that entire, coming. Sunil unfortunately missed the 71 coming back, because apparently he went to play in a double wicket tournament somewhere in the in the Caribbean, which was already a pre-decided thing. So he missed the 71 England thing. But I still remember the kind of there was absolutely craziness going on here. The entire stand was packed with people. I still remember I was sitting at where the members' children's stand is, because I couldn't get in. I was below 18, and fortunately Sunil was sort of helping me, sending people there, because I couldn't enter the club. It was very sweet of somebody like Salim Bhai, Durrani and Jessima and all these people whom I met later in life to actually come out of the way and give an autograph to you. And along with me, of course, there were another 10, 15 little kids with autograph books in their hand. So those memories, when you see these things, they're amazing. And as I rightly said, everything including this is happening right here at the bracket. Thanks.
Due credit.
once more, cheers and a standing ovation at Pirosha Kotla, the scene of their earlier triumph over the Australians. Bombay Airport. Thousands await the arrival of skipper Wadekar and his victorious team from New Delhi.
What can you say about this?
The best era
Yes.
in Indian cricket.
Sunil Gavaskar overtakes Gary Sobers in making the highest aggregate in tests between the two countries. He hits up 120, his 19th test century.
India all out for 207 in their first innings. Have to follow on. Gavaskar and Gaikwad open the second innings. Indian cricket takes yet another nosedive with 5 wickets down for 43.
The second test in the India-West Indies.
The voice was there.
One run short of his 30th test century. Vishwanath is caught behind and starts walking back before even the umpire starts raising his hand.
Really makes 91. A soaring 6 by Gray. He scores 76.
Look at that.
England make 317.
Look at what Tony Gregg does in the Bombay match when Vishwanath scores his century.
Right here, right here.
At the brink of his century, here it is. Vishwanath glides it away to Galleon Point. A glorious century for Vishwanath against a determined English attack. Well, what's this? The tall Tony Gregg has lifted the little master off his feet and cradles him like a child, bringing smiles all around.
This was another epic match, 1980, the Golden Jubilee Test. And I must tell you that it was, when I discovered it, it was a silent movie. And I had to once again do a lot of research and fit a narration. One of the things I did, which I'm really proud of, was in the footage, I noticed General Sam Manekshaw. And I have to say Jai Hind sir, that moment. Here we go. Yeah, Taylor was called back, if you guys recall.
Bowman and Taylor turned the match in England's favour with a record partnership of 171 runs.
This is from an interview a friend of mine did.
I still do that if anything happens, because it was clearly, I saw that.
And we found the 1977, exactly the newsreel out there. And unfortunately, the newsreel had only Sunil Gavaskar's stupid shot. No, nothing else. And then we were winning and we were going back. And the whole, they had all organized the whole show thinking that I'm sure somebody would have photographed that, but it didn't happen. And it's so lovely that you have put this all together, because here we are all cricket fans, and whether we played cricket or we didn't, we all follow cricket, and it's so lovely to have it and to watch this. I think everyone enjoyed it. And it's been one of the most wonderful Legends evening, spending it with you. And although you do it on Sunday, I don't know how many Sundays you would have spent on this. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. And by the way, the one you talked about, Kapil Dev, you started with, there's a story to that as well. I was the 12th man in that match. I was 12th man in many matches, so maybe because I was very good in serving drinks. That's what Gava said. And in his book, he took a photograph of me serving some drinks, and he said, Sunny, I had to put it because, I mean, you were always looking after us as well as the Indian players. So, about this Kapil Dev, he was nearing his 100. And I was like his mentor at one stage. And so Sunil Gavaskar told me that, can you talk to him and tell him that, he'll never get another opportunity to get 100 like this, because it was a tall score. And at 92, it was the end of the day's play. Next day was a rest day. And then we came in and he said, just go and remind him that, he'll never get another opportunity to relax and play. So I went to Kapil and I said, see Kapil, just take it easy, yeah? Don't lose your cool and all that. He said, don't worry, yeah, of course, no problem. And the first ball he faced from Norbert Phillips, he drove it brilliantly through covers for 4. So 96 he went on to. And then he tried twice, just missed the ball. And Sunil said, this chap is never going to get 100. And then they put 2 wheelers in the right on the boundary line, which we knew is going to be a bouncer, coupled with hook, and may get caught there. And we knew what the trick was. And Norbert Phillips, what he did, he bowled up to him. But Mr. Kapil Dev had decided he was going to hit a 6 there. And he flicked him all the way, and that was his first 100 with a 6. So Pant and him have got no difference, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, and where's...
I just want to take a moment to thank my friend Hemant and also Vincent, who were the key people, Hemant in particular, for having me here. Thank you very much. Thanks to, of course, Sunny Bhai.
Legends Club. Legends Club.
Wonderful to be. And we can have you another day to go through the other parts, that's and Fardun was so happy, his voice was that. Anyway, I've now hand it over to